Բարև ձեզ, ես Ալիքին Galfayanն եմ, հայկական բնապահպանական ճակատության ուրիշ տեղերում եմ ներգրաված։ Կլիմայի թեմայով եմ խոսելու և green washing-ի ուղեղների կանաչ գույնով լվացման մասին։ Okay, so I will switch into English. So science is already very clear that because of the human activity now there are so many the CO2 and other greenhouse gases are wrapping our world, our planet in really poisonous and polluted blankets. And this is warming the planet so much that life is becoming almost impossible. Like more and more the life is becoming impossible on the planet, or really hard. And it's happening now, and we see it also in Armenia. It's not somewhere far. There are people from Verde here in Spring, the whole city, and also a number of other places were wiped by flooding. We see the rivers drying, we see the underground waters drying out, we see record temperatures every year. The scientists say, and UN sort of agrees, that in order to keep the temperatures below 1.5 Celsius rising, it's necessary to decrease the emissions by 50% till 2030, just in 5 more years, and to bring them to zero by 2050, 20 and a bit more years. And is this really possible to do when we live in capitalist system? We are told that if we switch to electric cars, if we use like paper straws and stuff like that, the situation can be changed. But I believe this is totally impossible when we continue living in capitalism. And it is not the whole humanity, but it is the big capital which is exploiting the earth and which is creating the problems of the climate change. Now the reports say that 1% of the very rich people are responsible for 15% of the global emissions, while the 50% of the of the poorest people, most of which are women, are responsible for less than 7% of the emissions. Okay, so we see that the climate is also a class issue. And the reports that came up with these numbers also say that the poorest people could increase their emissions 3 times, and still it wouldn't harm the planet. But this richest 1%, they really have to reduce their emissions by 97% in order to keep the global climate goals. But let's see, who is going to the climate conferences, to the COPs and other big conferences. Are the people who are most affected taking part? Are they really involved in the decision making? No, they are not. And the people who are in the global conferences are often the ones who are themselves profiting from the crisis. Yes. So the news reports also say that the climate finance are given out in such complex ways that actually around half of it doesn't go to the most affected communities. 44% of the climate finance went to Europe, while Europe is definitely not the most affected region. These complicated procedures make it possible for the climate finance to be used for projects for, let's say, critical mining, critical metals mining, or for building huge hydroelectric power plants, things that we know are definitely devastating for the planet and the people. The other thing that I want to talk about is the carbon offsetting, which is one of these tricks of green capitalism and greenwashing. Carbon offsetting is when the corporations do not are not forced to change the ways they produce or change the energy they use, but they simply say that they will, let's say, plant trees or do something else in other part of the world which will capture carbon, okay? And this is also not something that happens far away in the world. It happens in Armenia. Those who are locals, they know about Tehut mining project, the copper mining project. So right here in Armenia, hundreds of hectares of forest were cut for the metal mining, and the company said they will plant twice as much, which they never did. And the VTB Russian bank, which was financing the project, a company called VTB Capital connected with VTB Bank was doing climate offsetting projects in Italy, Formula One. Offsetting Formula One in Italy, and they promised to plant trees in Alaska and Madagascar. Nothing of this happened. Also, most importantly, I want to mention about arbitration tribunals, and when we fight for our climate justice and for the nature, we come across the problem of the arbitration tribunals. Again, Armenians will know that when we were stopping the Amulsar gold mining project, the company was threatening Armenia with $2 billion of fines if the project goes to arbitration, because these tribunals are absolutely they are not considering human rights, they are just for corporate profits. Okay, I'm told that I have to finish, so I will finish by saying that having in mind all of this situation, it's really very invaluable to have the international solidarity, and I believe that the grassroots movements and people from around the world maybe can once again do the changes in the system, things that have happened numerous times on the planet when the so-called powerless were able to unite and to change systems. Thank you, and sorry for taking too long.